First tonight, the nation's infrastructure report card is out. It highlights a need for major improvements that includes bridges. Of the country's 623,000 of them, 49% are in fair condition. And to bring them into a state of good repair over the next 10 years, an additional $373 billion in funding would be needed. Meanwhile, tomorrow, federal lawmakers expected to talk about the possibility of increasing the amount of weight that trucks can bear on our nation's highways. Thanks for joining us. I'm Darren Bobb, and now a highway safety advocacy group is warning against it, saying heavier trucks could especially damage bridges, including right here in Arkansas. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi live in Springdale with more on the impact to infrastructure and highway safety. Jacob?
Yeah, Darren, we see trucks driving up and down our roadways, highways, and bridges every day, those heavy trucks. In fact, there are over 12,000 bridges in the state of Arkansas alone. But the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks tells me that raising the limit of these heavy trucks from their 80,000-pound mark to 91,000 pounds could have potentially costly effects right here in Arkansas.
There's no data to support that a bigger truck is a safer truck.
Emily DeLuca with the Coalition Against Bigger Trucks, or CABT, says they have been advocating against federal and state changes to truck weight limits for 30 years.
So ever since the truck size and weight limits were raised back in the 70s, there have been efforts to raise them higher than 80,000 pounds.
In a recent study, CABT says raising truck weight limits from 80,000 to 91,000 pounds could potentially force maintenance or the replacement of over 200 bridges at the cost of over $2 billion in Arkansas alone.
And we've seen the cost really skyrocket in the past 2 years, and that falls on the back of taxpayers and local governments that simply are not receiving dedicated funds from the federal government as a lot of these bills are written. The local governments are not considered, and so there is a really high taxpayer cost associated with this.
The group says their data comes from available bridge inspection information from around the country. But DeLuca says infrastructure and costs are not the only concerns when it comes to adding weight to the vehicles.
We see the decade-long trend in Arkansas from 2012 to 2022. Again, the most recent reporting year, crash fatalities have risen by 19.8%. So it's a cause for concern. Prices are going up. The crashes and deaths are going up on the roads. It's not the right time to bring bigger trucks to our roads.
Shannon Newton, president of the Arkansas Trucking Association, says the group does not advocate for or against weight changes, but tells 5 News that, quote, any discussion about size and weight of commercial trucks attempts to strike a balance between the safety of our roadways and the efficiency with which we move goods. If stakeholders could agree, only then can we talk about how much it would cost to retrofit equipment or how much is needed to reinvest in infrastructure to support a new limit. DeLuca adds that the conversation on trucks and weights will go on for years to come.
Despite what we know, despite Congress asking USDOT to study this, and despite getting the answer, every year we see similar attempts to either raise the gross vehicle weight limit in a sweeping way across states or provide more narrow commodity-specific exemptions, which could slowly erode the gross vehicle weight limit over time.
Now, CABT says that they will be advocating for this issue at Capitol Hill tomorrow at an infrastructure and transportation hearing. But for now, I'm in Springdale, covering news where you live. Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
A really comfortable evening on tap. Look at these temperatures. Many of us still in the 70s. We have a few locations such as Eureka Springs, Huntsville, Bentonville already dropping into the 60s. I want to show you a live look outside. This is looking towards the north from Sunset and 49. Those clouds look a bit dark at times, right? At worst, you might squeeze out a spotty sprinkle or two. The dry air is really evaporating a lot of those raindrops as they fall to the ground. That and the setting sun, the angle of it makes those clouds look a little bit darker. It makes them look a little scary, but nothing to be scared of out there. Here's what live radar shows us. You've had a couple of these spotty showers try to skirt the area. Most of us not even making it to the ground. You probably wouldn't even notice. Otherwise, closer looking in northwest Arkansas, they're really dotty out there. Most of us are going to be dry. Tomorrow, most of us are going to be dry as well. This is what we can expect. A little bit more in the way of sunshine tomorrow. That sunshine, more southerly flow. It's going to take us into the upper 70s in northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, where we could wake up to a couple of scattered showers, maybe even a clap of thunder. I'll walk you through a future cast on that. We're also going to be warming up into the 80s tomorrow. tomorrow. More 80s on tap, but there is a temperature roller coaster as our weather pattern gets to be a bit more active. What that active weather pattern brings in terms of rain and storms, all coming up here in just a few.
All right, Scott, thanks. Right now, we're still working to learn more after a fire at a Bentonville home today. We told you about this in your 5 News First at 4. Firefighters rushed out to a home along Turner Drive just after 2. Police say, to their knowledge, nobody was injured. Right now, investigators are trying to figure out how this fire started. New at 6, a West Fork man is facing charges in New York for allegedly trying to entice a minor. 21-year-old Braden Story is in the Washington County Jail tonight. Prosecutors say he allegedly began communicating with the teen when she was 13 and he was 19. Prosecutors tell us Story and the minor allegedly exchanged sexually explicit images. He is now waiting to be taken to New York to face those charges. Also new tonight, we're learning a man who was convicted for charges related to the death of Pea Ridge police officer Kevin Apple is now pleading not guilty in a separate case. Elijah Andazola was arrested again last month after police say he broke into a Rogers home and allegedly assaulted his pregnant wife. He's facing multiple charges, including aggravated residential burglary and third-degree assault. Andazola, who was previously accused of being an accomplice to capital murder alongside his co-defendant, Shauna Cash, ended up pleading guilty to amended charges. Now, court records show Benton County prosecutors reopened the cases against him and filed a petition to revoke his probation. He is expected back in court sometime next month. A federal trial over the license to build a casino in Pope County began today. Cherokee Nation argues it should be given to the license even after Arkansas voters struck down the issue in November. In court today, Cherokee Nation business CEO Chuck Garrett argued taking away the license was unconstitutional. They also argued if they're entitled to monetary compensation if they don't get that license back. That trial expected to last at least 3 days. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee back on Capitol Hill today for a confirmation hearing. Trump administration nominated him to be the U.S. ambassador for Israel. 5 News reporter Rachel Williams has more now from today's hearing, which included an interruption from the audience.
At the start of the confirmation meeting for Mike Huckabee, several pro-Palestinian protesters interrupted Huckabee's remarks. Arkansas Senator John Bozeman spoke on Huckabee's behalf, saying his background makes him the best fit for this role as Israel ambassador.
Who not only understands the complex Middle East geopolitics, but can navigate them with conviction, strength, and tact.
In the hearing, Huckabee reflects on Israel's impact on him over the past 52 years.
I still find hard to explain, and that sense of urgency has not dimmed. That war still continues. And for that reason, I respectfully ask your thoughtful consideration for confirmation to become our nation's ambassador to the State of Israel.
With the ongoing 17-month war in Gaza, Huckabee says the impact of the battle with hostages, including American citizens, makes this assignment urgent.
Terrorist group Hamas launched an attack October the 7th of 2023 against innocent civilians, including pregnant women, elderly people, and even tiny and helpless babies. The impact of that massacre continues to this very day. This body acted with bipartisanship and great dispatch as a result of the October 7th massacre of Israeli citizens when our most recent ambassador, Jack Lew, was nominated by President Biden. And that sense of urgency has not dimmed. That war still continues.
Huckabee said, quote, "If confirmed, it will be my responsibility to carry out the president's priorities, not mine." Covering news where you live, Rachel Williams, 5 News.
With rapid growth comes a rapid demand for housing, and tonight we're getting our hands on a new report that shows home sales increased more than 14% over the last year in Northwest Arkansas. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer has been digging into this new data. What changed from last year, Lauren?
Yeah, Darren, the Skyline report for the second half of 2024 was released today, showing that even with the high interest rates as well as high mortgage rates, people are still buying homes in Northwest Arkansas. The average price of a home in Benton County is almost $450,000, while the average price of a home in Washington County is over $400,000. The report says the region's real estate market is trending the opposite of the national market. Despite higher interest rates, strong population continues to drive sales in the region. Mervyn Jebraj, director for the Center of Business and Economic Research, says people are moving to places with available housing, big city or small, but some smaller communities are running into more issues.
Smaller cities are running into infrastructure problems, so they can't generate as much housing construction and new homes as we've seen in previous years because they're running into water and sewer capacity issues.
The data says this was the third highest amount of home sales since the report started 2 decades ago, and the highest amount of new construction homes. Tonight at 10, I'll have the trends a local realtor is seeing in the market. Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
All right, Lauren, thanks. Arkansas men's basketball bay-bound for Sweet 16. Right now, 5 News Sports Director Alex Stewart on his way to San Fran, head of the Hogs matchup with Texas Tech. He'll be bringing us all the action, of course, on and off the hardwood. You can catch his live coverage starting tomorrow on your 5 News First at 4. You can also stream it on 5+. You can download that on your smart TV and watch it for free.